Worried about the housing market? What if I told you things were about to get a lot worse before they got any better?
What do Australia, New Zealand, and the United States of America have in common? All three places mentioned are currently suffering from a housing affordability crisis. Recent studies this year have placed Los Angeles, Sydney, and Auckland in the top 10 least affordable international housing markets relative to annual income, with average house prices costing 10 to 13 times the average household income. To make matters worse, as part of the fallout economically due to COVID, interest rates have rocketed sky high to numbers last seen as far back as the financial crisis in 2008. So why are housing prices continuing to rise so fast? And is it worth buying a property in these market conditions? While housing in the countries of these locations are currently becoming unaffordable to the average household income, recent sales of properties continue to be all-time highs, and investors continue to flock to properties as an investment rather than a home. Over in Australia, The Guardian recently noted that as of September 2023, average residential prices across New South Wales are now $284,000 higher than they were in December 2019, bringing the average residential price to $1.2 million.
Queensland reported prices being $261,000 higher since 2019 to now average around $800,000. That is an incredible 33% increase in only a few years. Bear in mind, this is on the back of a recession due to a global pandemic that shut down most sectors of the economy for a period of time. What makes housing affordability such an issue isn't just the increasing sale prices in this market, but the cost to own a property. For example, to own the average Auckland property, a down payment of $200,000 would be needed just to secure a 30-year loan with around 7% interest. That equates to around $1,277 weekly.
Okay, so we can agree housing affordability is an issue, right? What if that doesn't bother you? You're not a homeowner, and you're not looking to buy a property anytime soon. Why should you care about? Some people fail to realize that interest rates, rising rent, and inflation are actually quite well correlated.
Investors and property owners that are faced with such high interest-based mortgage payments are very unlikely to take on that burden. So this burden is directly passed on to renters of said properties instead. In a recent Auckland Property Investor Association survey, 77.7% of respondents said they were charging more rent than last year. Whereas across the ditch, rents have increased on average by 18.45% for houses and units in between September 2022 and 2023. There has been quite a focus on the increasing price of food and fuel in both Australia and New Zealand, and the ongoing cost of living crisis. Rent is more of a significant part of inflation and most people's weekly expenses. Rent isn't as widely discussed because of the locked-in amount that renters sign on to for the year. And so in the renter's eyes, that expense remains the same for the entire year and isn't affected by inflation, unlike your favorite snack at the supermarket that has gone up in price by $1, or a bottle of milk that varies in price depending on which dairy you go to. When that person looks to sign on to the same property for another year, the median expected weekly increase in rent in most regions in New Zealand will have skyrocketed by around 10% or more, according to Trade Me Property. The property's website figures show the national median rent at around $620 a week, up from $575 this time last year. $45 a week might not seem like a lot, but becomes significant when adding up to around $2,340 a year.
So I guess what everyone is saying to themselves right about now is probably, is it worth buying a home in these current markets? Personally, I would say it depends. Depends on a couple things.
For one, I'm a strong advocate in each person being able to at some point in their life purchase a family home in order to live in with their significant other. However, with interest rates as high as they are right now, and the general consensus that they will remain higher for longer,
can almost feel like a burden to have nearly 7% of your household income going towards paying off these rates and shrinking the remaining disposable income for a household.
While each person's situation is bound to look different, hopefully you've gathered something from this video about what you could potentially be doing in the market or decide not to. I hope I can get a bit of a rhythm going in terms of my upload schedule. And if you guys could comment below any topics that you want me to talk about, that would be really appreciated. With that being said, you guys have a great week and I'll catch you next week.